Explain it to me like I'm 5. The graveyard mill archetype. I've heard about it. I'm not ready for it.
No, I am not giving you a deck with those archetypes because that relies a lot about understanding zones in a way you haven't thought about them yet.
Okay.
Mill archetype has two sections, self mill and opponent mill. Opponent mill is based around the idea of if my opponents don't have cards in their libraries, they lose. So you're trying to get rid of the cards in their library. So you're using things like Brewvac that doubles the amount of milling your opponents has to do.
Milling at the very basis level is just taking cards off the top of your deck and
Yes,
putting them
in their graveyard.
Graveyard.
Yes. Then there's cards like Traumatize. They mill half their library. With Brewvac, mill your library.
because it's double.
Exactly. So that's the opponent mill strategy. I run that strategy in actually one of my pseudo kinder decks.
I am starting to think that maybe your definition of kind and mean and not too mean and not too kind may be different than some other people's. I'm not saying who's right, who's wrong. I'm just saying there could be a difference in.
I think there's definitely a distinct difference. I also know I could build a lot meaner.
That's right.
It's a sliding scale.
Yes.
The main portion of this archetype is actually based around self-mill, where you want cards in your graveyard so you can trigger abilities and combos and spells.
Is mill just one way to get cards into your graveyard, or is it the preferred way to get cards into your graveyard quickly?
Yes and no. So mill also encapsulates other ways of doing this. So there's things like dredge, where instead of drawing a card, you can mill that many from the top of your library into your graveyard and put the card with dredge into your hand. It encapsulates a lot of different mechanics where you want the cards in your graveyard and you're doing this for your own resource gain. So this comes down to cards like Muldrotha, a deck I have put way too much love into. There's a lot of cards or a lot of decks that want this to happen. So there's also cards like Hermit Druid that say reveal cards from the top of your library until you hit a basic land and then put all the revealed cards into your graveyard. I don't run basic lands in some of my decks. So
Again, it's being very specific.
like the Muldrotha deck that I mentioned, having too much love, that's part of it. No basic lands in that deck. So if I Hermit Druid, I'm just flipping my library into my graveyard. Muldrotha says, once per turn, you may play each type of permanent from your graveyard. So I will play my artifact, my land, my enchantment, or if your library's empty and your graveyard's full, Thoracle.
We've talked about that.
Exactly. So there's a lot of ways you can go about it because graveyards are resources.